Good evening, race fans, and welcome to OneHub Season 18 Prospective for round number 3 here at the Shanghai circuit in China. Brought to you by Next Level Racing, Liam RBS, 3M Sim Racing. It partnered with Vespertine ERT and in collaboration with Time to Print for 20% off this week's track on their Etsy store using code OneHub. I am your commentator tonight, Peter Nathan, and I am joined this week by someone new. My previous co-commentator, Red Matt, is no longer available and has been dropped to reserve. I'm joined by Mr. Will Anderson this week.
Hi, yeah, obviously it's a pleasure to be here. What a great track to have my first race here at OneHub commentating at. So yeah, it's certainly going to be fun. And yeah, thanks for the nice introduction, Pete.
You're more than welcome to. As we wait for the lobby to fill up and everyone to get ready for this Grand Prix, I'll give a little run through our driver standings. As last week's Singapore Grand Prix got a little bit interesting towards the end between the two championship contenders of Liam and Astronaut. I believe Astronaut is no longer racing in this tier. It might have been promoted or is not racing anymore. In terms of standings, Liam leads the way after getting back-to-back wins this season for Scuderia Ferrari, OneHub Race Premium driver. In second is the Williams of King Gen 79 on 26 points after getting a podium last week. F1 Baza ERT driver is up to third on 18 points in the Alfa Romeo. Waze in fourth on 16th in the Alfa Tauri. Jake W. Combs, OneHub Race Premium driver, as well as Waze in this driver is in the Racing Point with 15 points. Craig Senna, after retiring last week in Singapore, is in sixth on 14 points. Fuzzy Bear in the Mercedes in seventh on 14 points as well. Primeval Rex after two points finishes is on 9. Reverend Daniels is on 5, the teammate of Primeval in the McLaren. TJW77 just missed out on driver of the day last week in 10th on 4 points. CPI Storm in 11th with 3 points. OneHub Racing Premium driver, as well as Indecisive in the Haas, OneHub Racing Premium driver on 2. Zach Jarvis, new boy from last week, joined Aston Martin, managed to get himself in the points in 13th. Jess Games, after a strong drive to get points in round 1, Singapore was a little bit unfortunate, finished 13th for Scuderia Ferrari with 1 point. Alex Lilliart in the other Haas, OneHub Racing Premium driver with 1 point. RAS Adam with a 1 point. CTI's Demon with 1 point. New driver in the Mercedes is VXI MCFC 2020 with 0. Pavo, unfortunately, not able to get on the points paying positions just yet in the Alfa Romeo. And Stereogram, the other Williams driver, is in 20th. What are your thoughts going into this Chinese Grand Prix, Will?
Well, something I'd definitely take from what you've just noted with the driver standings is certainly the gap from third, which is F1 Baza, all the way down to Fozzie Bear in P7 in the standings. It's only literally a 4-point gap between them. So obviously with the complexity of China, we could possibly see quite a lot of overtakes, and some drivers may not be accustomed to it. So we could see quite a lot of changes really from P3 all the way down to P7. So yeah.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, the standings starting to shape up a little bit to seeing who our favourite drivers are looking for the championship. Baza making himself known, getting himself into third place after a strong finish and driver of the day last week for Alfa Romeo. Going into this Grand Prix, I feel like obviously every track is now it's a mandatory 2-stop. For this track, it suits it a lot better than a lot of other tracks where it's preferably 1-stop. Whereas this track, you'd pit on the soft, you'd start softs if you were qualifying on them, and then you'd go medium. In terms of strategy, I know you're new to the league racing in terms of driving and around this track. What sort of experience have you got that these drivers might go for in terms of strategy?
Well, I think it's very dependent on safety car. And China can cause quite a few spins, so we'll have to see there. But I think, as you noted, a soft medium, or well, it also depends on the tire wear saving ability of the other drivers actually. So I feel like it's whatever the drivers are comfortable with, but I feel like, as you did note, Peter, that soft medium will 100% be, in my opinion, more of a preferred strategy for some. But say if we get a late safety car, we could definitely see maybe a soft medium soft. But yeah, we just don't know.
Thank you very much. Just noticed that Zach Jarvis, our Red Bull driver in the chat, just mentions that it's going to be a full dry race. It looks a bit gloomy here in qualifying. I feel like it's just going to be dry all the way through. So people are going to be fighting for pole position, getting into that top 10. They'll be starting on those tyres they qualify on. Do you think those drivers outside the top 10 will try and do an alternate strategy?
Again, it does depend on how comfortable they are around here. I think certainly drivers should try to do it if they can, and if they feel like they especially have the pace on the harder compound of tyre, which is obviously medium compared to soft here. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a case of, if they feel they have the pace on the mediums, then 100%, because obviously you don't want to be too far away, especially on mediums, so the alternate strategy won't actually do anything.
Yeah, especially with late safety. If there's an early safety car, if you start on the soft tyres, you can pit for those first set of mediums. The safety car window of those 3 laps you get on the safety car gives drivers the opportunity to extend that medium stint a little bit longer and force the hand of any drivers that are starting on mediums, because then they'll be a one stop behind. In terms of the driver's briefing, the Chinese track is a where drivers either love or hate it. I think you said yourself, it's a track where people don't really get the grips of first time round, and a lot of traction zones, as Gaza says in chat, are a bit difficult. Turn 1 is a long swooping right hander, as King Jen is one of our first drivers to set a lap. He's got a little bit of traffic of drivers coming out of the pits, hopefully they don't get in his way. But yeah, the track is a very long straight. It's one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar, with the DRS assistance down towards the hairpin of turn number 14. I believe it is. I did have the track map up. I do. It is turn 14. Do you think that would be the overtaking spot of the race?
Well, obviously we've got 2 quite long DRS zones here, so I feel like we'll see quite a few overtakes on the way in the DRS straight. I think turn 14, if the overtake hasn't been made on the DRS straight before, I feel like turn 14 will definitely be an opportunity to overtake, as you can brake a bit later. It's definitely the ability to do that there. Also turn 6 maybe, if the driver feels comfortable enough to maybe have a little bit of a go down on the inside or outside, if they feel like they have enough space to do so. We've got quite a few of overtaking opportunities in here. A few countering factors of how brave drivers can be.
Yeah, exactly. As you mentioned, if they don't get the move done into turn 14, they're close enough to maybe even have an attack into turn 1. It's very difficult for drivers to go side by side through turn 1, and if you're on the outside, you're more likely to drift more wide, but then you have the inside for the next section of corners. That's more beneficial, as King Jen sets our qualifying provisional pole of a 1:31.6 with his teammate Stereogram 2.8 seconds off the pace, but just getting a feel for the track. Give me 1 second, I just need to adjust party audio so everyone can hear you better, because I noticed the game sound in my ear was very loud, so hopefully that's a bit better for our people watching, as Liam now sets provisional pole 31.4, 1.5 seconds quicker than King Jen. I think King Jen can probably challenge him as one of the main challenges for this Grand Prix, as Jess has set a time on the mediums, probably getting a feel for the track. Do you think anyone will try and force the hand and try and get inside the top 10 on the mediums?
I think it's definitely possible. I I think we could definitely see maybe one driver at least go into the top 10 on mediums, but it looks to be like there's some serious times being set, like TJW with a 1:31 flat there. Some seriously good times being set on these softs, so I think it would definitely be a challenge, but I don't see why not.
That's interesting to hear. TJW just missed out on drive of the day last week. He had a masterful recovery drive from starting at the back of the grid in Singapore. He hasn't really had the best runs in qualifying, but he's showing his form and he's showing his pace in the AlphaTauri this week here in the prospect tier, and setting provisional pole 4/10 quicker than our two-time race winner this season of Liam in the Ferrari. See if we can catch a driver ending their lap. A lot of people are I noticed may have invalidated. Where would you say on this track is notable areas where invalidation could happen?
Well, okay. I'd definitely say going turn 11 is definitely a possibility for an invalidation. But yeah, I'd say turn 11 and turn 9 and 10 definitely. I'd say those two are the main culprits for invalidations in qualifying.
Yeah, that little run at 9 and 10 onto the little mini back straight that goes towards the Snell section onto the long DRS straight is a possibility. If you're pushing the limits, then yeah, there's an invalidation there. I also find out myself as a driver that the final corner is very difficult to nail. You want to be turning in early and getting as much curb on the inside. Obviously not too much, but then obviously the exit is all about the momentum you carry through the corner, trying not to run wide, and that's where I find people will get towards the end of the session. People will be pushing hard to try and carry as much speed as Zach now, and our new driver VXI MCFC proving his worth in that Mercedes, getting them both selves into the 1:30s.
Yeah, Zach's time is very good, especially he's 2/10 off P2 now. VXI, as you've just mentioned, new driver, so it's going to really help him and definitely get it into the other drivers' minds that, newbie around here is definitely going to be serious, and hopefully if he can improve that lap, because let's not forget, Peter, that drivers will be actually shaving off fuel throughout qualifying. So if he can actually progress with that more and really get competitive times when this is happening, I feel like it'll really set a statement for him and get the other drivers thinking, oh god, new guy on the block, how's he going to fare with us?
Yeah, exactly. Zach Jarvis tried to prove himself last week. Maybe he can make a recovery this week. He's proven it so far. Craig Senna, one of the favourites for last week. He started on the mediums, going for the alternate strategy in Singapore. Had a little bit of an incident into turn 1 and 2, and then obviously his tyres were overheated, and he was dropping down the order and ended up retiring from the race, showing that he's still got the pace, showing that he's still in this championship fight. Do you think we'll get a Red Bull lockout?
Wow, that'd certainly be something. I feel like if Zach, again, like I mentioned with MCFC, I feel like if Zach can really improve on his time when he's going on a quicker run, I certainly think so. Yeah, as you said, Craig was a contender for last week, so I feel like if you're a contender for 1 week, why not every week?
Exactly. So, our driver of the day last week, Mr. F1 Bazza, ERT driver, has not set a time, but he's coming down this mile-long DRS straight, using all the ERS, getting as much straight line speed as you can, braking really late into the hairpin of turn 14. Running wide onto the curb can be an issue, obviously with traction, and then just running to turn 16, cutting the corner beautifully and not running too much wide, derating a little bit on the ERS, up to the line. He goes P6, so that time set by Liam on the softs has been smashed quite a bit. Maybe this is not one of the strongest tracks for Liam, but I notice now that he's selected mediums in the pits. He hasn't gone out of them yet. Maybe he could probably improve on the softs. It obviously helps with strategy because the softs die off really easily in the first stint of the Grand Prix. Heavy fuel, you're not really taking advantage of the softs. You're just wearing them out and using them as the mandatory tyre use, because obviously you got to use two different compounds, get the softs out of the way. In terms of the pole position at the moment, 30.6, the track's going to start building up grip. Drivers are going to get a bit more confident with the conditions. Is Zach Jarvis safe, or do you think we can find an improvement on that time?
I think he could certainly find an improvement on that time. I feel like, obviously, as it's... we see Kingham go really close to pole there with 1:30.65. But yeah, sorry, back to the point was I feel like Zach, he'll definitely be able to improve on that. I've been keeping an eye on Taz about the track temperature, and it's just stayed 27 degrees, so I doubt especially with the conditions, how overcast the sky's looking, I doubt the track temperature will raise too much. But then I also think that, people will be starting to get more careful on their outlaps with tyre wear, and they'll be pushing a bit more because they don't have as much to lose, if you know what I'm saying. So I feel like that certainly is something to take in. So yeah, that's what I think with that.
Yeah, you mentioned the track temperature 27. That's quite cool in terms of what the track temperature can be. If the sun was blazing down, people would want to be really careful with these soft tyres. Obviously, if you start in the top 10, you have to start on the tyre you qualify on. You don't really want to be wearing out the tyre on your in and out laps, because then it just compromises you in the race. But with this cooler track, it maybe gives people a little bit more confidence to get back in the pits a bit quicker and try and put in more runs.
Yeah, well, as you were just speaking, TJW's gone and smashed the pole time. He's now on a 1:35, so I feel like now we've got 6 minutes left of quali. Drivers will be coming out very soon for their final runs, and this is where we're going to start to see times getting heavily improved. Obviously, I don't know what Zach did, like how much fuel he had on his run, but if he can, go minimum fuel maybe and lean on an outlap, he could definitely improve his time by, in my opinion, over a tenth.
He's going to need it if he wants to take pole position. He's still on the front row of the grid as it stands, but as the time passes, more grip laid down, people want to be trying to go faster and faster. TDW setting the benchmark at the moment. Just to mention, Jake W. Combs, one of our 3 retirees of the session, sitting in P7, is our hot driver this week. Is proved that so far he's made the right decision, swapping the microphone for a helmet. With 2 points finishes at the start of the season, a very good 4th place last time out. But can he make it 3 points paying positions in a row? He's sitting P7, nice and comfortably, 0.3 of the car behind, but so close to getting into that top 6. However, he won't be able to improve on that time. Will he drop out? Do you think the drivers behind will be able to improve enough to knock him out? He needs to lose 3 or 4 positions. A lot of drivers in that window are about 6 to 8 tenths slower. Do you think they can find that time?
Well, I mean, obviously, as you said, Jake's been on form recently in the hot and cold. I think it's a good time, but it would certainly want to be improved upon and could be improved upon. I'm not sure he'll be worrying too much about going too far down the order, assuming as, people are 3 tenths off of him, and unless they've had, quite a scruffy lap for themselves, and in my opinion, I do doubt that they're going to, improve too much on it. So I'm not sure he'll be sitting there, really worried about dropping too many positions, but I think he could drop a couple at least.
Yeah. Well, when a track tends to build itself up, people who aren't able to set another time, as Waze already knocked him down 1 position with a 30.9. Mention Waze, he's in the rivals this week with the Ferrari of Liam. Liam was in rivals last week with Craig. I believe there was an incident between those two that went to the stewards. But this week it's Waze versus Liam. Both drivers in different battles so far towards the front. But for Waze, there's been talk in the paddock about how Astronaut is now in the next tier. Yeah, Astronaut's been promoted to the next tier. Arguably Liam should go with him. Is Waze scared of the challenge? And then the question for Liam was, what does Waze have to do in order to bring the fight to him? In replies, Liam says, go faster. That's as simple as that. Go faster. If you're not quick enough to challenge for the front, you've got to go faster. Do you think that's a right response to the question?
Well, it's a proper Kimmy answer, isn't it?
It is. And he's in a Ferrari as well.
Yeah. But I don't know. I like that attitude.
It's confidence.
I think, yeah, exactly. And that's not something we always see now with drivers. I feel like now drivers have to be careful with how they reply to things, as they don't want to come across blunt or arrogant. So I really think that's it's quite a jolly answer, although it seems quite blunt, if you know what I mean. But I think certainly if Waze does obviously prove himself and, as he says, go faster, without a doubt.
Yeah, I've raced Waze quite a few times in different leagues. He has this tenacity to say he's the one to beat. He says, "Oh, I could have won that." He hasn't yet proven himself. He always is. He's done all the talking, but hasn't done the walking or driving, as I say, just yet. VXI MCFC is going to be starting a run. I believe it's his final run. 1 minute 50 left. If he messes it up, maybe he can have enough time to get round again, but then that just puts pressure on his tyres. Final runs for this session. Everyone, as far as I'm aware, is out on track except for CPI Storm, Fozzie Bear, and Waze.
Oh, he's gone fastest sector 1 has MCFC, so it's looking good.
It's looking good so far. On TAS, I believe TAS is a lot more accurate, especially with the game. If you see is it purple, TAS is the best indication to see whether they've actually beaten the quickest first sector. He's got to find 3.5 tenths to knock TJW off pole position. A little bit loose on the exit of turn 10, but didn't touch any of the curb. Now into turn 11, and then this long swooping right-hander. You don't want to be touching that exit curb, because it tends to drag you off the racing line, and you have to get off the power to get back onto the track. And now this 1 mile run down towards turn 14. It's got no traffic in front. He's got a little bit of traffic, but I don't think it'll be hindering him. He's got a Renault behind him.
He's definitely not gone faster in the second sector. He's gone 27.1.
So far not improving, but round the final corner, up to the line, is there an improvement? There is an improvement, but it's not pole position, as Craig Senna has gone second.
Adam.
But Adam has snatched pole position so far by 18 thousandths of a second in that Renault. He was behind MCFC on the run down towards the hairpin. Maybe there was a little bit of a slipstream to get him that extra time. But so far, TJW is on a lap, and I believe he's going even faster in the first sector. He's gone, from my screen, he's gone 74 thousandths quicker in the first sector. That is enough so far, and we'll see if he can take that pole position back to AlphaTauri.
Yeah, well, old pole runner here, Peter, Zach Jarvis, just can't improve. He's gone with a 136. Hasn't been able to improve upon his lap, so we won't see that Red Bull front row lockout.
But we may see the sister team of an AlphaTauri snatch pole position as King Jen improves himself in the Williams on provisional pole. But we've got to keep an eye out on TJW on his flyer. He's got to find a little bit more time now. He was 74 thousandths. He's half a tenth up in the second sector. It's not enough yet, but it could put him on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, he's gone fastest sector 1, so we're really gonna. This is a mystery of where he's going to come out.
He's so far in P3, up to the line. Does he get P2? He does get pole position. Massive improvement from TJW in the final sector. Gets him pole position. I'm not too sure anyone else is on the lap. Liam, our championship leader, trying to go for the mediums to get himself out in the top 10. Set an initial run on the softs. Is knocked out of the top 10, and our championship leader starts P11.
Wow. Well then, that was incredible seeing TJW do it in that style right at the end. But yeah, as you mentioned, our championship leader is in P11. trying to set a lap on the harder compound of tyre when his initial one was actually on softs. So I'm not too sure what's happening there. Maybe he just wanted some practice. I really don't know. But yeah, 131.4 on softs. He must have picked up some damage, or maybe just China isn't his strong track. So, within the standings currently, there's actually a 14-point gap from Liam to Kingan. So Kingan is currently starting in P2, as we know, with a 130.4. If China isn't actually his strongest track and can't get into the points, we could actually see Kingan take P1 in the championship today.
He could indeed. 17 points, I believe it is, for P2. Zach Jarvis says in the comments, lost the back end, thought had enough time to start another. Unfortunately not for Zach. He starts P16. So here's our qualifying order for China of round 3, season 18 here at OneHub. TJW, after starting towards the back for the first 2 rounds, starts on pole position with King Jen lineup on the front row next to him. Adam, after a stunning time to put himself on provisional pole, starts on the second row alongside Craig Senna. MCFC new driver in 5th with Zach Jarvis in 6th. We've got Waze 7th. Our hot driver, Jake W. comes in 8th. Not getting knocked out of the top 10 after that early retirement with Fozzie Bear 9th. F1 Bazza in 10th. Liam, our championship leader, in 11th with Alex Leo in 12th. Reverend Daniels 13th. CPI Storm 14th. And I've missed the rest because I talk too much. That's great. We'll get the run-up of the grid as we go to the track for the race. Matthew Daniel in the comments says, just couldn't get my lap right, was 0.6 up and I messed up. Unfortunately, well, luckily for you, not all the points are given in the qualifying races where it all matters.
Yeah, just something to comment on as well. Obviously, we've had, drivers not qualifying in the top 12, but obviously from 12 or below, drivers will actually be able to change their tyres. So I'm wondering how many we will see go on to the alternate strategy around here. And so that this is going to be interesting now, where we'll see who's going to do what.
It is. People are looking at their strategies now. Maybe overfueling the car, maybe unfueling the car. With the mediums, I find that the mediums are the best race tyre for a Grand Prix. Softs are a knockoff if you want to nick fastest lap at the end, or if you're qualifying, they'll be what you start on if you're inside the top 10, just pushing for that pole position. In terms of Zach Jarvis, ahead of this Grand Prix, he answered the pre-race interviews. I'm just going to run through the answers as we go on our formation lap. He was asked, have you recovered from last week's race? Yes, he's all recovered with a fresh mind, hoping for a much better race this time out. He starts P6, probably trying to get himself up towards the podium. He doesn't mind turn 1. He doesn't like it or dislike it. He doesn't mind turn 1, obviously. It's quite a difficult corner to get used to if you're new to the game, if you're not used to the track. A very different challenge from last time out. Does this play more to his strengths? Last time I raced here, I believed I had a podium, so hoping for more or less of the same things if things go his way. P6, the only way is up for that podium, and there's potential there in that Red Bull. It's been a few seasons since we've raced here in OneHub. Have you missed this track? Last time they raced was season 15. It took them a couple of seasons to get back to it. They haven't raced it on this game either, of 2020. Again, last time I raced here, I was on the podium, so I was hoping for the same thing. Before the race, they were asked whether they'd prefer a wet or dry. Rain tends to come in showers at China. It either comes or it doesn't. It'd be nice to switch it up a bit. Everyone knows where they are in the dry, but a very different story in the wet, as a lot of drivers find wet conditions can be very tricky. Ahead of the race, who do you think your drivers to watch are in terms of strategy, in terms of pace?
Well, I'd say obviously the people in P1, 2 and 3. Actually saying that, I say everyone down into P8 really. Obviously Jake's our hot driver here in Prospect here. But I'd definitely say anyone down to P8, and then people who are on the alternate strategy, like Liam, Reverend Daniels, CPI Storm, Indecisive Mackie, Jess Gamer, Pav, and Demon, all on the alternate strategy. So I'd say we got to watch them as well.
Interesting to see that Liam decided to go on the mediums. It was something he wanted to qualify on at the end of the qualifying session, but couldn't pull the lap together. He's now on fresh mediums to the race. Interesting, only 2 drivers are going very aggressive off the start for fresh softs, which are Alex and Stereogram. Stereogram probably wanting to get himself up the field as he sees his teammate on the front row. But here we go then, the drivers are lining up on the grid. We've got TJ will be on the outside of turn 1. King will have the inside. Let's keep it nice and clean, boys, as we wait for the 5 red lights. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, 4, and 5. A long wait, but we are underway here in China. Decent start from Kinjen. Is going to go side by side and take the lead into turn 1. Having that inside was very crucial and takes the lead away from TJ. Zach Jarvis, after having a poor qualifying session, starting in 6th, already up to 3rd and challenging TJ with a little bit of contact into turn 3. Craig set up his teammate up to 4th and Waze into 5th. Absolute drama for Adam, down in 7th now after starting on the second row as he goes side by side with JW Combs in towards turn 6. It's 3 wide behind between the Ferrari, Mercedes and Alfa Romeo behind. Everyone seems to be getting through this first lap quite cleanly. Yeah,
that is incredible how everyone's made it through turn 1 with no damage. Obviously, Pav seems to have a little spin. Same with Demon. Not too sure what's gone on there. But yeah, no damage is reported on TAS, which is good. But yeah, what a start from Kingen, as you said. Really, that inside just benefiting, and now he's got quite a nice gap as we see people going off there. Not too sure what's happened. It's a McLaren.
McLaren of Reverend Daniels having a little bit of a mistake. A lot of people weaving around the straight, trying to break the break the slipstream. I noticed on the run-up through this final sector, Bazza and Liam were going side by side throughout the end of the second sector. There was a little bit of contact as our first pitter of Jake Combs. Has he got any damage, or is this just strategic?
That will definitely be damage. I can't see that being strategic in my opinion. Again, he's not reported damage. A Fozzie Bear has actually got some front wing damage. But he's gone on the. I think he's gone on the mediums straight away now. So I'm not too sure what's gone on there, but definitely something. Definitely something to say is. Kingen is driving amazing at the moment. He's got some really good pace. Managed to getting a nice gap. Yeah,
already breaking that 1 second window that will be activated. Not this lap. DRS is not active. We've only done 1 lap. This is lap number 2. I love it when this game decides to glitch out and mess up the order and tell us the wrong laps. But yeah, DRS not enabled to the following lap. 2 DRS straights to watch out for, the long one down towards turn 14 and the start finish straight down towards turn 1. Jake, I think it could be strategic, but a safety car coming out could ruin that, because obviously everyone can then pit and change their tyres if they started on the softs. I did a race quite a while ago where pitting lap 1 didn't actually hurt your run on the mediums, because the mediums can do about 13-14 laps, half the race anyway. So this could be a strong strategic play. No, he probably knows that the softs die out quite early and will be trying to take advantage, as Zach Jarvis up to 2nd, already showing the pace with the fastest lap.
Just coming back to what you said, Peter, is it does look like a strategic decision. It was my fault for saying it wasn't. But
no, that's fine.
Yeah, it will be tricky for him now because he's got to get back into the race. Someone's spun around in sector 1.
It's Stereogram, the Williams. I think there might have been a bit of contact there. A few drivers were going side by side in that section. I don't see any damage. Is TAS reporting any damage for Stereogram? His tyres are probably on fire, which he's trying to get control of. Maybe turn that EOS off. overtake and he'll get a bit more traction. Jake already jumping him, and one Williams at the front, one at the back. Absolute disaster so far for Stereogam, trying to keep it on track.
Yeah, well, that was a nice little rhyme there, Peter. I'll definitely say that Jake's got to get back into this race, whether it's with strategy, but he's just got to pray there's not a safety car now, because he'll be hoping to gain the positions, and he just won't be able to do that under safety car.
Exactly.
So it's all gonna. I feel now his race is really in other drivers' hands in terms of collisions and safety cars, etc.
Adam going for a move up the inside of Waze quite late towards turn 14. Everyone seems to be in a DRS train. TJ leading this train from falling back from the top two drivers as we get ourselves people reacting to the undercut of what Jake's done and then trying to get the undercut themselves of the rest of the field. We've got Craig Senna and Waze both pitting. Waze as well, first driver to grab himself a 3-second time penalty. Struggled a little bit with track limits in qualifying, did Waze, and now it's showing here in the race. Hopefully keep it on track as Lilliot grabs himself a 3-second time penalty as well. He's up to 7th on those fresh soft tyres that he started outside the top 10 on, and within this DRS train that now Adam is leading.
Yeah, as you say, drivers are reacting to this undercut by Jake. It could prove effective. I'm not sure what the average time for a pit stop is around here, so if you know, then that's grand. But
it's about 22 seconds is a pit stop around here. It's not one of the longest, it's not one of the shortest, but it's a decent time. But if you've got a wing change, that's an extra 6 seconds. If you've got a 5-second stop go, that's an extra 5 seconds. But if you get a nice slick 2.6 second stop, it won't affect you too badly. Jake not managing to jump Waze or Craig with that undercut, and slowly starting to fall away from the DRS of Waze as well.
Yeah, Jarvis is really gaining on Kingham now, just 3 tenths away, and was getting hella close on this DRS race. We see Kingham actually pitting now. I feel like these are definitely reaction pits, but Jarvis is looking comfortable on his tyres. He's got a little bit of front left blistering, as I can see. Probably going to come in at the end of this lap. But yeah, it's currently that crikey, my telemetry is really screwed.
Yeah, it will start messing up as people are going in and out of the pits and swapping positions.
It's like 27-ish seconds away from P1 at the moment, so he can't actually cover a pit stop. But he can certainly gain up some positions. It's just a bit of a shame that we won't see him jump all the way up there. But yeah, 27 seconds away from Jarvis. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that gap there, as he could close it very soon.
He could. Just before the pit stop was made from these drivers, as Waze gets up the inside of Indecisive down towards turn 6. Making the use of those fresh medium tyres compared to Indecisive's 4-lap old. As you mentioned, when King Jane came into the pits, Bazza was making a move on MCFC down towards turn 14. He had the inside and then dove straight into the pits after making the move, which was followed by MCFC, and then nearly did a Hamilton, overshot the braking for the pit entry for the left-hander, ran wide and nearly lost the position to the Mercedes of MCFC in the process. But at the moment, I think Jake's starting to make that undercut work, but he's starting to lose a few positions as TJW regains the position ahead. He's going to have the slipstream DRS of the Haas. The Haas moving to the side, doesn't really want to get involved in these battles. He's going to cut the corner. Oh, there's nearly contact between himself and Bazza behind. I think Bazza will get through without any damage. But yeah, this undercut that Jake started, as well as Waze and Craig started, is now starting to show as everyone that's starting on the softs is now pitted.
Yeah, just something to mention, Liam has now gone into the lead of the race. This is what we were talking about on the formation lap. We're really going to have to watch people who are on the alternate strategies now. As Storm and Liam are now, who outside of the top 10 and now in the highest points positions. So this shows how strong the alternate strategy is, and if Liam can keep up the pace on these mediums, he could have a really strong racer.
What will help Liam now is a safety car, really.
Yeah.
Maybe not now, maybe in about 5 laps' time. But as we know, as you were talking about the situation where they got into the lead, the 2 Red Bulls were going side by side through the first sector and second sector. Craig Senna managed to get the jump and undercut on his teammate, crucially, and then managed to get by Jess, who is one of our medium runners, who's now lost 3 positions in the space of a couple of corners, but not getting in the way. But Zach looking for the inside of his teammate, Craig Senna, without the DRS. Zach with the inside and DRS. There's contact between the 2 Red Bulls. No spins. I'm not sure whether Craig's got any damage. Zach showing that he's not going to be number 2 here at Red Bull, saying that he's got the pace and wants to fight for it. Way's on the back of Craig. Craig gets DRS of Zach, but Way's now on the attack towards turn 1. As Craig goes defensive as there's a yellow flag. Way's trying to launch it round the outside, collect the momentum of having the wider line, keeping it nice and close, trying to shove his nose up the inside of turn 2 and 3. More yellow flags in sector 1 and 2. No safety car or virtual safety car from what I can see. It was a Alpha Tauri. Was that Pav letting everyone through?
Yeah,
no, Alfa Romeo, sorry. Yeah, getting rid of blue flags. But yeah, this battle's starting to heat up as Craig's starting to lose touch now with those a little bit older tyres of Zach. Zach showing he's got the pace and currently in net P2. Falling away a little bit with the undercut that King Gen pulled out on Zach. Zach decided to stay out the extra lap. He's going purple middle sector, pushing now, having got by his teammate, and now with a little bit of clear air, hunting down King Gen for the provisional race lead.
Yeah, well, I feel like Storm is sticking to the back of Liam, so there's going to be some time lost between the two there. So, obviously there's Zach and, well, everyone up until Jess Gamer has covered off the pit stop of Liam and Storm, who were on the initial alternate strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't be as high as I predicted when when everyone else pits and they pit. So they'll be coming out, if they keep up this, around P13, P12-ish. So that's just something to keep an eye on. And as you said, net P1 and P2 for Kingdom and Jarvis.
They've got a little bit of a gap to Demon behind, about 9 seconds, but Demon now under pressure from Kingen. I noticed that CPI Storm now looking for a move up the inside of Liam in towards turn 9. There was a little bit of contact. Liam was close the door a little bit late on Storm. Storm being very aggressive, and there's contact between the two. Storm broke a little bit too late. Now has got wing damage on the right end plate. Nearly sent Liam for a spin. That's going to really hinder Storm through this section of corners. It's going to give him a lot of understeer, but he is going to get DRS and maybe try and get the overtake done. But I feel like a pit stop is in order for CPI Storm.
Yeah, so just going off the TAS system here, Storm has actually broken his front wing to 44%, which is almost half of his downforce on the right side gone, and as we can see visually, his whole front right end plate has actually gone, so this will definitely be a pit stop. As he doesn't pit this lap, which I'm quite shocked about. He's going to try and stick with Liam, but I'm not sure how he can do this.
Yeah, with the dirty air, the damage, the nature of these corners, you need as much front wing as you don't really want to have a damaged car, otherwise it's really going to affect your lap times. If he can stay within that 1 second window, which unfortunately he's now fallen out of, it might force him to make a pit stop. He did make a little bit more contact on the run to the hairpin because he had DRS, the overspeed, more contact was made. Maybe a rookie error for Storm. Maybe it loves to do the ultimate strategy. Maybe a little bit of nervousness being up the front, especially with the championship leader ahead of him. He's challenging against the championship leader. maybe missed his braking point and caused the contact. I noticed King Jen and Zach both getting by Demon into the hairpin, with Craig Senna not catching up to these guys. If anything, he's losing a little bit of pace to two provisional leaders of King Jen and Jarvis as he runs wide on the exit of turn 10. Hopefully he doesn't get a track limit warning, but maybe sent to the stewards for extending limits. He's getting a little bit of pressure from behind. He's got Waze, he's got Adam, he's got TJW on the mediums as well, same strategy. Do you think he's what's the word I'm looking for? I would say bottling, but he's coming under a bit of pressure.
Well, just linking back to what you said about Storm, I've had the chance to speak to him on numerous occasions as he's delving into the pits now. But I've known Storm for a little while, and he's admitted this. He's not the fastest guy on the field, but he is very experienced. So I doubt his little collision with Liam would be a lack of inexperience. However, you do wonder though, when you're in a really good position like that, could pressure maybe get to him? In this, he does need the points, in my opinion, as he's currently P11, and he's a premium racer on 3 points in the championship. And obviously, points are vital for him and Renault, Renault are currently they're currently 9th in the championship on 4 points. So anything Renault can get here would really help them.
I noticed as well, Demon is not letting Craig Senna or Adam get through as easily as he let Kingen and Jarvis. It's all aboard the Demon train as they run towards turn 11. I think Craig Senna is getting a little bit frustrated being stuck behind Demon. He's allowing his teammate to pull away, and he's got 2 Alpha Tauris and a Renault on his gearbox.
Yeah, now this is a tricky position. I'm not sure why Demon's deciding to defend between Craig and everyone now. However, we're going to see them get a move done on this straight now, as this just shows how powerful DRS actually is.
Whoa. Waze missed his braking point, just missing everyone, including the racing point. He wanted to go up the inside of the racing point, missed his braking point, did the sensible thing of missing everyone and running a little bit over towards the runoff area, losing a few positions, but everyone seems to have gotten through Demon and now up into their race finishing, their strategic positions.
Yeah, well, not move, but the thing from Waze definitely helped everyone get by. But yeah, now we can really see Senna crack on with the battle between Jarvis, King and himself. We mentioned in qualifying, actually, didn't we, Peter, that we could see a Red Bull front row lockout. Well, we didn't see it in qualifying, but could we see it in the race? What's your thoughts on that?
It could be a possibility. I noticed Zach Jarvis has took the lead back from King Jen after the undercut from King Jen worked, but now Jarvis is net race leader. They're starting to reel in Liam as his medium tyres wear away. Yellow flag sector 2. I believe that's Pavo has retired from the race. Do we get a safety car? That'd be a pro racing god for Liam on the alternate strat. He'll be able to pit. Still yellow flags in sector 2. No safety car has been deployed. That'll be music to Kingen and Jarvis's ears as they start reading in Liam. Liam will drop down the order as Adam and Craig go in side by side. Adam has got the move with the help of DRS and up into net P3.
Yeah, I wonder if Liam went a little bit too long on those mediums. He did actually go the minimum time on them, like we said, lap 11. But he just lost so much time in the end. Like, Jarvis is only on 6 lap younger tyres, which is actually quite a lot around China. However, I don't think for our championship leader he would be happy with his pace on these mediums.
Yeah, he's gone on to a... Where did he come out? Mr. Liam. I can't see his name. P12. Fresh mediums. He's got Jake Combs ahead of him. that undercut from Jake's not really worked out as MCFC has got through on Waze. Waze has had a little bit of a spin and is losing positions left, right and centre. I don't think he's got any damage, but now behind his rival of Liam, he won't want to be seeing that. He was already he qualified ahead of his rival, and now he was showing to Liam that I can go faster, but the consistency isn't quite there just yet. A few mistakes need to be ironed out for Waze. And what he's now got to do is just keep on the back of Liam, because Liam is on the same pit stops as him, but Waze is going to pit a lot earlier. But he's got no pressure from behind with an 11-second gap to Storm.
We could see a possible move be done here by Liam. Yeah, there we are. And Stereo has retired in the pits, so we won't see a safety car coming out for that. But yeah, we've had a couple of incidents. In the race now, only one of them causing a DNF, and that was for Pav, but we didn't see a safety car. So I wonder what a safety car would do to this race, how drivers would do with their strategy. Obviously, we have the two front runners in Zach and Kingham now, who are both on the medium tyres. Kingham's on the older tyres, only by a lap though, on 7-lap-old mediums. So I wonder what would happen with the strategy there. What do you think about that, Pete?
Kingham now sets himself up for maybe having to force the undercut again as the Williams of Stereogram's retired car comes out of the pits. I love that glitch. I love when you retire in the pits, the car just changes its tyres and goes and carries on track. Luckily, ghosting is on. If there was no ghosting, that car would not have been ghosted and the drivers wouldn't have been able to get through. Demon, our only driver yet to make their first pit stop, would probably love a safety car right now. Bring himself back into it. He's currently sits P8, but with the pit stop will probably drop himself down to maybe P15, with the gap being 20-30 seconds to Jess, as Stereogram has left the session. That's his race and any duties over, as TJW now putting pressure on Craig Senna, who's lost a bit of time to Adam after being overtaken, having to save EOS. TJW's got loads of EOS, about 80% compared to Craig Senna. He's in the DRS range, probably not going to be shaping up a move towards turn 1, but I think Adam's just made a mistake around the final corner and allowed Craig Senna to reel himself back into that 1 second window.
Yeah, I mean, time around here, it's quite easy to gain if you can carry good pace with your race. Senna is, getting really quite close now, as you said, to Adam and TJW shortly following behind. So we could see a possible battle for a podium here if Senna and TJW can get close enough. Adam's been looking very strong though. We saw him have a poor first lap. Obviously, he did dip down quite a bit. I think it was to P8 if I'm not wrong. But yeah, so Adam's back up to where he started, and he's looking very strong at the moment. But Senna's wanting to get a podium for the Red Bull boys and get two of the RBs on the podium. Yeah. Move being made by TJW there, and he hasn't managed to get it done. He's just gone a bit too deep into turn 14. But so Craig Senna does actually keep the lead here. This is an interesting battle now. Yeah, it's went there for a bit.
As we've got our first driver to make their second pit stop. MCFC in the Mercedes going for the undercut, mediums to the end. They can do 13 laps, but he did only manage 9 on those tyres. Probably going to try and force the hand of a few other drivers in that top 10. Liam now up to 7th on those fresh mediums, starting to make his way through the field. He's got through Waze Alex, Demon, and Jake W. Combs after making that late pit stop. Up next is F1 Baza in this essentially sister team of the Alfa Romeo. And then there's an 8-second gap that Liam will have to start to reel in to catch the top 5. TJW is going to have to be patient here, I think. He's got the driver ahead's got a penalty, but also the driver ahead is losing time. He's going to have DRS. He's got enough ERS. Will this be a successful move? Craig Senna is harvesting ERS. Is he going to be close enough? The slipstream comes into effect a lot better down towards the end of the corner, end of the straight, should I say, towards the corner. Not going for a late lunge this time. Realised his mistake last time, and Baza has lost the position to Liam due to DRS as well. So Liam on a charge.
Yeah, ever since Liam's been onto these new tyres, he's been absolutely flying. Gone from P12 all the way to P6, so let's not count Liam out here for a possible podium or even a race win.
Yeah, anything could change. TJW may not have made the move into turn 14, but as you mentioned, if you're not going to make the move into turn 14, you get the opportunity with the second dose of DRS down towards turn 1. TJW had the DRS, had the momentum out of the final corner and swooped around the outside and got the move done on Craig Senna, who has started to lose a bit of time now. Maybe his tyres are overheating with this track temperature being a little bit higher than it was in qualifying. But TJW's now got a little bit of a mission on to try and catch Adam for that podium position.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's only one lap difference between the two tyres, but if you go on boards with them both, I'll talk about Craig and TJW here. Craig's got some severe blistering on his front left, well, his front two tyres, and actually his rears as well, where compared with TJW, the only blistering I can actually see on his car is actually the front right, and that's really minor. So I feel like the tyres here are playing a big difference for Craig. I'm not sure why and how. There's such a drastic difference over a lap different tyres, but TJW's tyres seem to be in a lot better shape as we see King and actually pitting now.
In terms of tyre wear, notice as well on TAS that Craig's are significantly higher than the drivers around as he now makes his pit stop. His tyres were his fronts were 63 and 57 compared to TJW's who were 43 and 38. So there was significant tyre difference in performance between the two, and that's why Craig Senna's been struggling. He now pits for his second stint on the mediums, his final stint of the race. He's going to be pushing to the end. MCFC, VXI MCFC, proving started the undercut, has come out is behind Craig Senna after setting the fastest lap. That puts him into a net P5 with him making that second stop. A driver to watch. Could get very interesting towards the end of this race as the drivers will start to make their final pit stops and the gaps are going to start closing up.
Yeah, Liam now is in P4. He's quite a little while behind TJW. However, he is on the fresher tyres. He's on 4-lap old mediums compared to TJW, who's on 11 laps. This is really going to be interesting now to see the strategy that Liam's going to go on. We haven't actually seen a safety car yet in this race, and if we do see one, I really think this could benefit Liam at a later time when he does have to pit. So Liam, again, as we see TJW now going into pits, Liam's now into the podium places, obviously on an alternate strategy, however. But yeah, this is looking good for Liam.
So Jack Jarvis covering off King Gen on the undercut. He saw that his rival pitted and now trying to cover him off on those fresh tyres. They weren't that worn, those mediums, so about 40-50%. And now, 46, 40, 40, 37 for TJW. But then that gives him a bit more confidence to push a little bit harder. You got a lighter car, you're going to be faster. Craig Senna's got the undercut on TJW, and TJW has slotted himself in between the Mercedes and the Red Bull.
Yeah, just something to note on here, Peter, is that Adam is actually on very, very high fuel. He's currently got 1.55 laps of fuel in the tank, compared to the pupil behind him, Liam is on 0.33, Baz is on 0.13, and Zach is on minus 0.13. So it's looking really good for Adam in terms of how he's managing the race. His fuel and also his ERS is very high as well. So Adam's got enough in the tank, certainly, to push on a new stint, which should be coming soon, actually, due to he's on his laps on the tyres he's on.
Do you think Adam could stretch this stint out, maybe go for a set of softs at the end? Or does he dive into the pits this lap? He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it, though. He's dived into the pits. He's dived into the pits. He's taken the initiative of the drivers behind getting the undercut. They noticed that Craig Senna got it on TJW. VXI MCFC has dragged himself back into this battle. He's now going to go on to a fresh set of mediums. It relinquishes the lead back to Liam. Where will he come out? He was ahead of Senna as Bazza pits as well. He should come out ahead of Craig Senna. Craig Senna is coming up to the line. Where is Adam? Adam's coming towards turn one. It's going to be side by side, nearly between the two of them. But that undercut has really helped Senna here. Really benefited him with those fresh tyres, has dragged himself back into contention for P3 for that podium position. But a driver we've got to watch out for is Liam. He's going to be charging at the end, but all these drivers behind him now are going to start reading him in, because Zach Jarvis is only 3.5 seconds behind Liam.
Yeah, well, just going on from what you said here, that's helped Senna massively. I was literally just going to comment on as well that Adam's tyre wear was not bad at all for the amount of laps he's done on them, but he was losing a lot of time, as we can see how close Senna is. So Senna actually picks up a 3-second time penalty now, so that's going to lift a lot of pressure off Adam, but it's going to put a lot of pressure on Senna.
It is indeed. That's 6 seconds now of penalties to his name. He should stay ahead of Storm. Storm will have to make another stop, so he should stay ahead of Waze. Waze has 9 seconds worth of penalties, so he won't drop down as many positions as penalties can do. But if there's a late safety car, as side by side between TJW and VXI, there's a bit of squeezing, bit of contact. VXI is going to have the inside for the final corner. I love this camera angle, but around the outside, this TJW keeps the position from the charging Mercedes. The Mercedes had the DRS on the run down towards turn 14. It covered the inside, had to take a tyre apex, did the Alpha Tauri. VXI ran round the outside, would have had the inside, but the better run from TJW. He dropped off enough to get the DRS and holds on to the position.
Yeah, that is great. That's very good from TJW there. Great defending, very brave as well, going on the outside of the final turn like that. MCFC was very brave as well, so that's great racing there. Hopefully we can see more of that. MCFC is very, very, very close to TJW, but TJW, as we've seen in the race, he's going to really be wanting to get into his podium spots. But also something to quickly comment on as well, Pete, is we both said in qualifying that MCFC, obviously the new guy around town here in this tier in OneHub, that MCFC, he looked quite good in qualifying. Looked like he was going to make a statement with saying that, oh yeah, I'm the new guy, I'm here to challenge everyone here who's winning. I'm going to go for as many points as I can, and I don't care who I upset along the way. But now, are we starting to see that MCFC isn't as competitive as we thought he would be, as he's dropped quite a few positions off of qualifying?
He has, but he's got to remember that he probably hasn't raced a lot of these drivers. He's new to this tier, this format maybe. I'm not too sure, but he's been put into the Mercedes seat, a very high seat where you'd be wanting to see podiums, as Liam is going side by side with Zach. I noticed that KingGen had managed to close that gap down to Zach to within the DRS. Hopefully KingGen can get by Liam as quickly as Zach did to maybe challenge back for the race victory. KingGen did get a penalty. He should stay on the podium with Craig Senna's penalties and the gap to TJW. but a little mistake from King Jens might have put that race win out of grasp unless Zach gets a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, what is it now, a 1.5 second gap between them both. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see King Jen get closer to Zach as long as Liam doesn't hold him up. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. He's losing time to Zach as you speak, obviously due to this battle with Liam. However, I feel it is on the cards for King Jen to actually get back into Zach's DRS, but again, we'll just have to see.
I see what Liam's doing here, though. Championship rivals, these two, 1 and 2 in the standings. Liam not making it easy for King Jen. Doesn't want King Jen getting the race victory. He knows Liam's got to get as many points back to try and hold that lead. He's being very aggressive with these defensive manoeuvres. Needs to make another stop, but keeping King Jen side by side all the way through the first sector, and then King Jen now through ahead of Liam. Liam's going to make a pit stop. He said it's about 20 seconds. He'll drop down towards about 8th or 9th, maybe even outside the top 10, depending on how this pit stop goes. He is going to be on those soft tyres and maybe start charging through the field. He's got to get every point he can get, really. He's got to try and stop King Jen from clawing in as many points to that championship lead that he's got. He said 14 points was the gap. 17 points is the points paying position for P2. That'll be enough as long as Liam doesn't score any points.
Yeah, 14 points, the gap from Liam to King Jen here. We said we could have seen a possible switcheroo in the standings, but I know we said Liam's going to go on the softs, but there might be a safety car. Let's still not count that out, although it's quite late in the race. Drivers will start to be a bit more careful. But let's see his pace on the softs to see if he does actually end up going on them, or when he does. As he picks up a 3-second time penalty.
Zach Jarvis has got a penalty as well. So Liam, Zach, both getting penalties. That is really music to King Jen's ear. His race win is not over just yet, but I wouldn't count Adam out just yet, as side by side between MCFC and TJW. MCFC tried to go for the move once again down towards the hairpin, didn't make it stick. There was a little bit of contact between the rear tyre, the left rear of TJW and the front wing of MCFC. No damage as far as I'm aware between the two. MCFC back ahead of TJ up into net P5. What we've got to notice now is Adam is right on the back of Senna. Senna's tyres are about, if TAS refreshes, Senna's tyres are a lot older than Adam's. They're about 15% more worn, but they're not unmanageable. There's still going to be enough pace there to hold him back, but with the assistance of DRS, the slipstream, the longest straight, one of the longest straights on the calendar, I think Adam's going to make this very easy for himself.
Yeah, this is really what we said at the start with overtaking opportunities. These long straights are just incredible to really gain time. As here we go, going into turn 14. He's made the move stick. That's just the impact as well. Even the slipstream, as he locks up and Craig gets past him again. I'm not sure if you're watching this.
Yes, Craig got the under and over. I think there was a little bit of a lock-up from Adam, as you mentioned, as Liam now finally pits for that soft tyre. Yeah, Adam wasn't closing enough to make it look comfortable. It maybe outbroke himself a little bit, locked his tyres up, went a bit deep. Craig Senna noticed this, did the under and over, the little switchback, the switcheroo as people like to call it, and regains that podium position. People would say, why is Craig Senna fighting this? He's got 6 seconds worth of time penalties. It doesn't really matter, but Adam's going to go for the move up the inside towards turn 6. Craig is going to try and defend it. They're still side by side. Adam now up in that position of the podium of P3. Yeah. 6 seconds to P2, so I'll let you talk in a minute. Don't worry, I can hear you. But those 3 second time penalties for King Jen is what Adam's going to now see. If he can get within that 3 seconds, he can get that P2.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I was getting a bit of mic delay, so when he stopped, I was, but anyways, you mentioned about Craig Senna fighting this, and I feel like China's a very easy track to pick up time limits, track limits on.
Yeah.
And, you know, if Senna can push Adam quite a lot, not necessarily with him himself pushing him off track, but,
Yeah.
you know, making Adam try harder, maybe Adam could pick up some, you know, time penalty for himself, pushing too hard to try and get past Senna. So, it's less of why he's fighting it, it's more in the mentality of Senna and how he thinks he can break Adam's consistency.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you apply the pressure onto a driver, same with an egg, you keep putting a lot of pressure on it, it'll start to crack. If you keep applying that pressure, say if you try and stick your nose up the inside, let them know you're there, they'll obviously want to leave you the room, but you're just putting that pressure on the driver in front, maybe force them into an error, force them into a mistake. Yes, there's quite a few track limit warnings he's going to need to have to get 6 seconds. Excuse me. But Adam is on the way to securing a decent podium without getting any penalties.
Yeah. Well, something just to mention as well is, like, obviously Adam's on younger, mediums than everyone else. However, Adam does seem to be locking up quite a lot compared to the others. Obviously, variation of assists and all that, but Adam is going deep into quite a few corners, so Senna will be looking at this thinking, what can he do to stay with Adam and potentially put pressure on Adam where he knows Adam's struggling?
Indeed. What Senna's got to do now is manage that gap to MCFC behind. It's 5.4 at the moment. With that 6 second penalty, not only will he lose P4, he will lose P5 as well, because TJW's in that window, as side by side between TJW and MCFC towards the hairpin. Once again, these two swapping positions, left, right and centre. Neither of them have a penalty, so they're fighting for on-track position. You don't want to be battling too much because you could cost yourself a P4. Yellow flag in the final sector. Baza is out of the Grand Prix. He has lost it down the main straight. Whether there was contact with another driver that's unsettled the car, it's lost his front left wheel. I think we're a little bit too late for a safety car. That would have really benefited Liam, as side by side once again between the Alpha Tauri and Mercedes through turn 3. Now towards turn 4, 5 and 6. MCFC's got the move back into P5, but this battling's helping Senna keep hold of that P4. They're going for glory, these two drivers.
Yeah, well, this is just spectacular what TJW and MCFC are doing. I have a feeling Liam will be looking at this. Obviously, he's on the softs, and as you mentioned, that safety car's well out the window now. It's 2 laps left. But could we see maybe, obviously, Liam gain this amount of time over 2 laps? I mean, he's just gained a second on this lap. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he can do compared to these other drivers. Obviously, MCFC is on the older mediums, and according to TAS, MCFC's tyres are quite high in a vulnerable state here around China. So he's gonna. So can Liam be looking at this thinking, "Oh right, they're going to be losing a lot of time. I'm on a quicker tyre, and possibly could be a quicker drive record in the standings." Could we see Liam actually get a couple of positions here in the final couple of laps?
If there's a tangle as TJW secures his first penalty, that's not going to help him in securing P5. He's going to battle it all the way. He's going to have the outside line towards turn 1 on the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix here in China. Liam picks up a second time penalty as he sets the fastest lap. I mentioned the track limits at the final corner could be a little bit difficult, and have proven here today for both Liam and TJW. TJW now ahead of MCFC. He's got to put some pressure on and try and pull that 3 second gap out. I don't think it's going to be possible. The DRS is so effective if you stay in that 1 second window, and I think MCFC's got enough EOS to stay within that 1 second, and tyres as well, even though they're quite significantly older.
Yeah, this is really going to test MCFC now. He's still staying with TJW, like he's got a real good amount of pace on him. TJW, it does have more ERS. He's obviously been a bit more conservative with this, and also in terms of fuel, MCFC is on a lot lower. So TGW has looked like he's been conserving a bit more of his, aids like fuel mixes, etc. So we could see TGW maybe get a little bit of a pull away now as we're entering the final lap of the race.
We're entering the final lap of this Grand Prix, but something to quickly note as well, that Adam has been pushing like hell. You said he had a lot of fuel. You said that he had like 1.5 laps of fuel earlier on before he started his second stint. He's been taking advantage of that and is now within that 3-second window of Kingen ahead. If we can find 1.5 seconds more, I'm not so sure he can. Let's see what the difference is between leader and him to get within. And he's fine 1.3 seconds. If he can find that 1.3 seconds, he could snatch this race victory from the hands of Zach Jarvis, who's driven beautifully throughout this race.
Yeah, something to do with the 1.3 seconds as well. Adam's got to be careful of himself now. I'm not sure if he's picked up any warnings, but he will have to be careful with not actually picking up a time penalty himself, trying to get that 1.3 seconds. So this is how it's going to be played with him, I think.
He's going to maybe at least get P2, but he's guaranteed a podium as it stands. Craig Senna falling off quite a lot towards the end as we ride on board with Zach Jarvis, who's now got Jess for company on the final couple of corners. So Zach Jarvis, he proved a point. He made a mistake last week and is now showing that Red Bull seat should be his. He rounds the final corner up towards the line. He will win here in China at OneHub. King Jen will come across the line in second, but Adam will snatch that P2 away and gets second place. King Jen will hold on to the podium. Craig Senna will come home on the track P4. Will he have done enough to keep P4? Just enough, because of that penalty by TJW knocks him down to 6th. MCFC on his debut will be P5. Liam on the alternate strategy, not a strong qualifying. The pace wasn't really there in the medium tyres on both stints to make sure he could pull himself back in the final soft stint. He recovers to 7th. Alex Lilliard in the points with Jake Comer, hot driver, finishing in the points once again. Maybe not as high as he would have expected. Ways in 10th, being outscored by his rival after having an alternate strategy mess up that cost him essentially a top 6 position, but a few penalties as well has knocked him down the order. Fuzzy Bear in 11th, but CPI Storm overtakes him on penalties. Fuzzy Bear will round out our points paying positions. Reverend Dan's not a great day for McLaren. I think Primeval missed the race with Reverend Daniel down in 14th. Demon taking that longer stint on mediums, then going softs and mediums. I think he did 2 stops. I'm not 100% sure. Let me check. Yeah, he did do his 2 stops. Going for mediums at the end in 13th, just missing out by 8 seconds to a points paying position. Reverend Daniel's in 14th. Jess will be our last driver to cross the line, indecisive, a lap down, unfortunately, for Haas after some good points paying positions. But what a race, Will. What a race indeed.
Yeah, what a race that was. Crikey. That was just brilliant, right to the wire. Obviously, the battle for P2. We had King Jen, obviously a premium racer here at OneHub, trying to get away from Adam, who is also a premium racer here at OneHub, trying to get away from Adam. And yeah, it was just brilliant to watch. We really will see now standings come into play, but we did say Liam would bring it back a little bit, and he has. He's got to P7. Same with Kingan, has got actually a P3, so it's going to be interesting. The standings have definitely closed up here in the Prospecteur.
They have indeed. So run us through our final order. We have Zach Jarvis taking race victory for Red Bull with Adam in P2. King Jen rounding out the podium in P3. Craig Senna in 4th, with MCFC taking P5 from TJW, who had a fantastic qualifying to start on pole. Liam in 7th, Alex in 8th, JW Combs in 9th. We have Waze in 10th, CPI Storm 11th, Fuzzy Bear 12th, Demon 13th, Reverend Daniels 14th, Jess 15th, and inside of our final runner in 16th, 3DNS, Baza, Stereogram, and Pavo. Who's your driver of the day?
Ooh, well, I'm going to go with Adam as my driver of the day. Reason being, track limits around China are really easy to pick up, and he managed to pick up none. And we saw he had quite a drama in the first few laps, dropping quite a few positions, and he managed to regain his form, kept his confidence, and here we are. He's ended up in P2. So that's my driver of the day. What about you?
I'm going to go for Zach Jarvis, our race winner. He had a bad qualifying. Well, I would say it's not too bad. Sixth place isn't disastrous, but to get himself, he took lap one quite aggressively, made it work, got himself up to P3, I think it was, fighting TJW for P2, and from there on, it was plain sailing all the way to the finish line. So yeah, Jack Jarvis is my driver of the day. So then, next week, where are we racing? I always forget to check these up, and I always should. We are racing around... God damn it. Come on. Where's the calendar? We're racing around Belgium next week for Spa-Francorchamps, a nice, amazing track to drive around. I've been your commentator. Joined with me was the amazing Will Anderson. He's done a fantastic job for his first commentary with me in OneHub, so I give him a round of applause from me. He's kept his nervy, and he's brought a brilliant lineup that hopefully we can continue. Unfortunately for Red Matt, you've got a replacement that might knock you off your feet, but it's been an enjoyable race to watch. Next week we're at Spa. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to check out our social medias, OneHub social medias, the Twitter, and join our Discord. Be sure to check out the other tier racing on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you to our sponsors as well of Next Level Racing, Liam RBS, 3M Sim Racing for providing a GT Light cockpit for a giveaway winner, the trophies that Liam does, and providing some sim racing gloves for the most poles and fastest laps. Partnered with Vespertine, ERT, and Time to Print. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next week for the Belgian Grand Prix.